I'm Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me?
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbea, and it's been a couple weeks since I've done a live show, so excited to be back here with you guys on WLTK-DB.com. You can find us on all the socials or any streaming platform just under the handle WLTK-DB. So check it out. Be sure you go through the website. I hope you like this show, and if you do, I'm going to guarantee you're going to like all the other shows on the station as well. We got a full lineup, everything from cryptids to metaphysical to true crime. So there's a lot of different shows on the station and just a lot of content each week. So and if you can't catch the live show, no worries. Wherever you get your regular podcasts, you can find us again under WLTK-DB. And we just got a bunch of new merch on the site there. So time to get those hoodies on, so go check it out and get a station hoodie. If you like the station, that's a good way to support us, or through sponsorships as well. So a big shout out to Todd Bates, host of Haunted Voices, station owner here. He's on the ones and twos every week, keeping us running smoothly. Thanks, Todd. And good friend of the show, Mike Beers, producer of the show, and so I hope you're listening out there. But thanks a lot. If you like the show intro song, that's my band, Steady Rock Cosmonaut. Look it up, steadyrockcosmonaut.com, or anywhere you stream music, you can find us. And we got a show coming up November 4th at the Charleston Theater in Bremerton. Looking forward to that. Our live shows are always, well, we go to space, I guess, and we hope we take you with us. We've got Ghost Walks in full swing here in Port Gamble, and had a great opening weekend of Ghost Walks this past weekend. It was really cool. In our cemetery here, someone experienced what has been claimed for like over 35 years. And I usually don't tell people what the activity is before we go into the cemetery, and somebody experienced it. So that was really cool. And I'm not going to say what it is here, so nobody can cheat. So anyways, got a lot of ghost walks this month coming up, and you can find tickets and dates at portgambleparanormal.com. You can find out about the public investigations that start in November as well. Those are always a lot of fun, and actually experience activity on a lot of those. You never know what's going to happen. Also coming up, I'm always a big supporter of conferences because of how important they are in the paranormal field and for individuals and, your learning and development. Got the Oregon Ghost Conference coming up in Seaside, Oregon, March 24th through 26th. And I think our guests tonight they know something about the Oregon Ghost Conference. But you can go to OregonGhostConference.com. I love going to that conference every year. It's always a really good time, meet a lot of people, and get to see a lot of friendly faces as well. So OregonGhostConference.com. We've got the Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up. It's the 13th annual on Veterans Day weekend, November 11th through 13th. If you go to portgamble.com, go to the events tab, and you'll see the Ghost Conference. But check it out. We've got a lot of great speakers, a lot of great classes this year. The investigations are always fun, and it's coming together. So it's about a month away. Geez, time is really flying. Actually, it is a month away. So just go to portgamble.com. And we've got a couple people on the show tonight that are going to be involved in the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. We've got Holly Cole and Crystal Valley coming on the show tonight, and we're going to be talking about tarot. So hang on just for a second for that. But I've got some great shows lined up for you for the rest of this month into November. next week. I've got best-selling author Leslie Rule. She's got a new book, Haunted in America, coming out, so we're going to be talking to her. She's also got some other exciting news we'll be sharing. But her new book hits, I think, next week. So she's coming up next week. After that, I've also got author, actor, and director Cleet Keith. And we're going to be talking about the ghost. You're going to get spooked out. It's a big Hollywood mansion down there and tons of stories. So we're going to be sharing some of those stories of paranormal activity and ghosts and spirits right as we get into Halloween there. And then I've got Genevieve St. Clair, who's also going to be a speaker and class instructor at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming on November 1st. And then I've got a friend of the show and friend of the Port Gamble Conference. She's a speaker and a class instructor there as well. Medium Sarah Lamos is coming on November 8th, leading up to the Ghost Conference. So we got a lot of fun stuff coming up for you guys. Always appreciate everybody who watches. Thank you so much for the support. And if you're out there and you want to comment and say hi to me, Holly, or Crystal tonight, just wherever you're watching from, type in the comment bar. If you have questions, we'll do our best to answer them. But without further ado, I'd like to bring on Holly Cole and Crystal Valley to the show. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings. Thanks for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it, you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
It's going to be, well, we're going to talk about, I think, a lot of different stuff tonight. I know you guys have some events coming up, including the Port Gamble Ghost Conference, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But Holly, let's introduce you. I met you at the Oregon Ghost Conference years ago, and you've always been on the readers side
Yes.
of the vendors over at the Oregon Ghost Conference. So you've been professionally doing tarot readings for 14 years in the Portland metro area. She's a psychic, empath, spiritual healer, and natural witch who studied at the Light Song School for the 21st Century Shamanism and the Arthur Finley College for Psychic and Mediumship Development. So welcome to the show. Glad to have you on.
Happy to be here.
Right
And
on.
happy to do Port Gamble finally.
I know. It's, everything just had to align, in your life, and then it eventually happens.
I was waiting for that lucky 13.
It is lucky 13. We'll see. I mean, I hope I'm lucky. We've been so short staffed in the town this year that it's been being pulled in 1,000 directions all the time, and so pulling the conference together, we'll see how lucky I am. And then we've got Crystal Valley, and you're going to be a vendor this year. Excited to have you at the conference. And you've studied tarot on and off for 20 years. She started out in high school with Thoth Tarot, then switched to Rider-Waite-Smith 2.5 years ago. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let me ask, since you switched, I mean, is that just you found the Rider-Waite-Smith? Is that like your cup of tea? That's fits you better?
Well, so I pretty much started Thoth because my mother told me I was a witch and going to hell.
Okay.
So I might as well go as esoteric as possible, right?
Yes.
And yeah, at some point it just kind of fizzled out. Like it didn't feel like mine anymore. I just stopped doing it. And then I didn't touch the cards until 2.5 years ago. And Holly and I have been friends for
5 years. Like something like 5 or 6. We're getting older. I can't remember, but
Right.
No, I told her, she was interested in the tarot stuff that I was doing, and she's honestly like super psychic and has way cooler stories than I do. But she had said that she used to do Thoth, and then she put it down, and I've never gotten into Thoth because it's just a little darker, and I don't know, I'm not an abstract person. I need very literal stuff to work with. And so sure. I told her to switch, and then she just like a fish in water,
I'm
just natural.
I love rote memorization.
Nice. Well, so it sounds like, Crystal, your experience growing up, with things was it kind of difficult? I mean, if your mom said you're going to hell, I mean, did you kind of have to just keep it reined in? You know, what was that like for you?
Yeah, I put myself in a box and I tucked that box all the way away into the corner. And I
Okay.
kept saying there was nothing happening. Nope, didn't see it. And then finally I was just like, fuck it. It happened.
There you go. Sure. Well, and sometimes, you know, you can't keep that stuff in. My experience was different. I didn't really realize anything was going on. I just thought I was weird. But, you know, looking back, I mean, would you, you know, did it make you who you are today, or would you have liked it to gone differently?
It made me who I am today. I would have liked to have been fostered a little bit more. I didn't start being fostered until I was 16, and
Okay.
had an adopted mother who was really just like, you want crystals? Let's go get you crystals. She actually got me my Thoth Tarot deck, because she was there when my mom said to me that I was a witch and I need to stop delving into this devil worship. And so my adopted mom actually was like, here's your Thoth Tarot deck. I was like, yay, demons.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it would have been I think a lot better for me, like not only growth wise, but like emotionally and spiritually, to have been fostered more as I was getting older. And
Sure.
when, you know, grandpa talks to me after he died that week, maybe like, you know, not being told I was crazy.
Yeah.
And, you know, would have probably helped me not box myself up so much and put the lid on so tight.
Yeah. Holly, what was your experience like? Was it real gradual? You know, what was your experience coming up in with tarot or knowing about it? You know, what was your experience?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be raised with like no religion.
Okay.
So I was free to kind of be as weird as I wanted. But I've always been super spiritual, and you know, I think I craved spirituality when I was a kid. And when you're a kid, you don't know that you can just be spiritual. You don't have to be religious, you know? And so,
Right.
but I've always identified with being a witch. And my grandmother was very, very psychic, and she has poems that she wrote about, you know, the ghost of Bunker Hill in Minnesota that she used to see. And my mom has stories about my grandmother doing seances and levitating a card table and things like that. So
Whoa.
I didn't get to know grandma as the cool psychic lady that she was. I knew her as grandma, you know,
Yeah.
but I definitely think I got a lot of my gifts from her. And then I grew up in Oregon City, where Rocky is from, that does the Oregon Ghost Conference. And it's one of the oldest cities, you know, in the West Coast, or
Yeah.
the oldest city on the West Coast.
I
But
think it's one of the oldest. It's like in the top 2, I think.
yeah. So definitely a lot of old creepy houses. I grew up in one, and I always felt like there was ghosts, and you know, could feel people watching me. And how I got into tarot was I had a psychic reading when I was in my mid-20s, and I wanted to know, when am I going to be a rock star, and was asking like, tell me about my career. When am I going to be a rock star? And then she just started talking about, the lady reading me just started talking about how I'm super psychic and I haven't tapped into it. And I used to talk to spirits as a little kid, and then they showed me how they died, and it freaked me out. And then I like shut everything off. And so looking back on all of this stuff that she told me, I'm like, all of that makes absolute sense. Cause I had like imaginary friends that I could play with at grandma and grandpa's house, but they wouldn't come to my house.
Oh, yeah.
I think they were ghosts, and
Yeah.
just some interesting stuff like that. She said one of them was like a Native American that had been killed near the area where my grandparents' house was. And when I started getting into, as I affectionately call, hippie studies, I
Sure.
was kind of trying to identify things like spirit guides, and like that was the first thing that came through was this Native American dude that I think, I actually used to maybe talk to, and I was a very, very, very little kid. So for me, it's been trying to unlearn the blocking, but the psychic lady, that gave me that reading suggested I get tarot cards. And so I've just been doing that ever since because I really, really enjoy it, and it never gets old.
Nice. Yeah, so I know you teach classes and spread the good word with spirituality and tarot. Holly, how have you start out in when you started doing tarot? Like, what's your psychic development been since you started doing tarot? So I know you're going back, 14, 15 years of doing readings. Like, how would you say that tarot has like developed your psychic abilities?
I think tarot is like one of the best things anyone could do to develop their psychic abilities. And just in terms of learning this whole world in general, you can learn all of that from tarot, like
Yeah.
when you're starting to learn this stuff and you're like, why do I have to pay attention to things like, I don't know, if you're working with elements or, just understanding what do numbers mean in a numerological sense, like all of these different kind of ways of measuring our reality are in tarot. And so, for me, it was, first kind of learning those basics, which again, you have to learn tarot. And then learning to just kind of shoot from the hip, like you want to learn kind of the book learning side and what's the general meaning. But then you want to learn how to apply that to this specific reading or this specific person and not just the book side robotically,
Right.
but it's really cool because, every reading is different. And so, I never stop learning from tarot. I'm experimenting now, trying to do mediumship with tarot, and kind of feeling the energy of the spirit and allowing them to communicate through whatever cards, they pull up. And that's been very interesting. My husband and I did some experimental readings with that a couple of weeks ago and spoke to his grandfather who's passed, my grandfather who's passed, and then a friend of mine who's passed. And they all gave us the same card when we asked, what do you think about the two of us? And the card was the Judgment card, which is a very crazy card to get as like an anniversary present from your loved ones because it shows corpses rising out of their graves and it's Judgment Day. But card is card number 20. So it's like, double X on the card. Our wedding date is 10/10/2020.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Double X, double X.
And it's a 20. It's a 10/10/20. Like,
Yeah.
and all three of them in three separate readings. Like that was one of those ones where you're like, okay, I'm out. Like,
Well, that's cool that you're experimenting with some different things. Crystal, what about you? What's your development been like? Just in your experience, I mean, do you feel like it's blown up your psychic abilities or just kind of taught you to maintain it?
I think it's helped me to like crack that lid off the bottle that I've held for so long.
Okay.
And allowed me to start saying to people like, hey, I have a party trick. I've always like gotten pictures of people, and it's not 100% because it's one of those things that I stopped doing. But I would like, I'll be reading tarot for somebody at a bar and I'll go, hey, do you want to hear my party trick? and I'll give them the picture that I see, and
Yeah.
it's like always just one picture, just one frame. And it's not with every person, but when I do see it now, it's gotten me to allow myself to see that and
Yeah.
realize that
Recognize it.
it is a thing. I
Yeah.
do see it.
I think a lot of your development has also just been in confidence,
Yeah.
you know, and getting
Yeah.
the feedback, doing party readings and, you know, getting the practice in and then getting the positive feedback and confirmation that what you're saying is right. Or like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. I always say like tarot is one of the only jobs where if you make somebody cry, it means you're doing a really good job.
Yep. Yeah, I was just at the Orange County Paracon, and I had made a comment to my wife, I think after the first day or second day, that, well, I did my job today. I made some people cry.
Yep.
And it's a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to hear that I've heard a lot lately, well, ever since I started to play around more with the tarot, is, were you just in my room?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
This. Yes, I was in your closet. You didn't see me.
Yeah, I have.
Now we've been,
Yeah.
what?
I have cloaking capability. Yeah,
Yes.
You didn't see me. Yeah, geez. Well, I was just going to bring up, in my experience with tarot so far, which is not as in depth nearly as you guys, but I found that if I'm doing a mediumship reading and having a hard time getting through, maybe the client's not really open, not totally open, but I found that I'll get the cards out and do like a 3-card spread, and then all of a sudden stuff starts to come out. So I've actually used it to, if I'm having a hard time in a mediumship reading with somebody, to really get the things going. Have you guys kind of experienced that at all?
Yes. I mean, I call myself a baby medium because I'm still studying that, and I don't feel comfortable, charging money for it at this point, that type of thing. But
Sure.
but I have, well, it's funny because my husband works for a very large cable company whose name I won't mention, but we got all the ghost shows again, and I hadn't had like cable as a grown up in
right.
my entire, adult life. And I saw someone doing mediumship with tarot and was like, it was just like light bulbs going off. And so it's been interesting to play around with that. And because it's like, I'm very comfortable with tarot. So it makes stepping into the mediumship zone a little easier because I'm already very familiar with playing with these cards. And I got to do, I've had some tarot first this year as always. But one of them was I got to do tarot at a memorial service for a woman who passed away. And it was someone who I had done tarot at a couple other parties for this group of people leading up to her passing away. And so I did a 3-card reading for them and then a 1-card pull as a message from this woman. And it was really interesting, just even in that zone, the messages we were getting, and, and I was just going with it, and it was just working beautifully. So.
Wow. That's really cool. I think that's pretty unique. For someone, that's not something you hear too often. So that's really interesting.
That, and I got to do tarot at Bullwinkle's this year.
Nice.
All night grad party.
I think you could do it anywhere, really, right?
I literally did it in front of the bowling alley at Bullwinkle's.
That's cool. Don't mind me. Come on in. Oh, you guys go. No, you got to stop for a reading. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Well, talk about. We're going to be going to a break here in about 5 minutes, but Holly, if you wanted to start out, there's so many applications with tarot, and I think that and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the mindset of like, let's say the mainstream or, you know, general public is tarot is for one thing and one thing only. It's for talking to the dead, or if you're really religious and you just don't know about it, you have the experience like Crystal had growing up, you know, where it's the devil's work and stuff. There's so many different applications. What's a couple ways somebody could use tarot just in their everyday life? And let's say they're not like a professional reader, but they have a deck and they, you know, use it themselves. What are a couple of ways somebody could use it in their everyday life, and or like what are the benefits of that?
I mean, there's endless ways that you can use it in your everyday life. You know, you can do, you know, simple 3-card readings can be, you know, typically past, present, future, but you can also do kind of a mind, body, spirit reading, get a read on just kind of those different aspects of your being. You can do chakra readings, where you figure out how are each of my chakras operating based on what cards you're pulling. And that one can be very interesting to try to interpret, you know, because sometimes you're thinking, well, it's heart chakra, but I got a pentacle card here, you know, but it may have to do with you're working too much and not allowing enough, you know, of your feelings into your life, you know, so that's very fascinating. I also highly recommend, if you want to figure out if the person you're dating is good or not, that is a great application. Is there's some very specific cards that I get all the time for like, this dude is a narcissist, and that would be Emperor reversed especially, but even an Emperor upright I would look out for. King of Wands reversed, King of Pentacles reversed can sometimes be just a very stubborn person. And then the queens too, like the Empress.
Queen of Wands reversed for sure.
Queen of Wands reversed is gonna have a temper probably. You know, the Empress, you know, when it's upright is this mother card and she's giving of herself. And so when I've seen it reversed and it's like this woman's taking everything, you know, and is very self-serving, you know. So, and you can also, you know, I love tarot as kind of just almost a psychological check-in with yourself. You know, it's really good for just checking in with how are you feeling and how are you processing things mentally, emotionally, all of that.
Is that kind of the mind, body, spirit type set that you'd want to pull?
Definitely be that, but if you do like a big reading, do like a big Celtic cross and get 10 cards out, you can really see kind of the as above, so below, or, you know, this is a pattern that I've been repeating for 10 years, you know, like you can see kind of a grander scale of certain things, or, gee, I wasn't supported in this time of my life, and now I feel like this, you know. And so I think, you know, on a deeper psychological use, I would do a giant reading, because it's just kind of like a tapestry of you.
Yeah. Crystal, what do you want to add there?
When I first started back out reading, I would do readings for myself, often 3 cards, just like every week, just pull 3 cards or a couple times a week. Mm-hmm. And then I slowly started working up from that. And I would like send them to Holly and be like, so this is what I think this is what I think this is. And it helped to like check in with myself, I guess. Like just let's check in with yourself. It's a free therapy session with myself. Mm-hmm.
Right. No, I think there's so many applications to it, and I like that you started out with 3 cards and then kind of built your way up. That seems like a good progression. For anybody out there who's got your own deck but not quite sure what to do, you know, to start. So yeah, that's a good way to think about it. We're going to be coming up on a station break here, and when we get back, we're going to get into more of the nuts and bolts of it. And I think you guys wanted to do a reading, So
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Before the end of the show, I'm going to recap the OC Paracon that I was just at. It was a blast. But we're here on WLTK-DB with special guests Holly Cole and Crystal Valley. We're talking tarot tonight. We're going to be talking Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up, and an event that Holly's going to be at that sounds really cool, Nightmare on Main Street down in Oregon City with Northwest Ghost Tours. That's going to be this weekend, you guys. So we'll be talking about that when we come back from the break and the nuts and bolts, and we'll get a reading in. But thanks for watching here on WLTK-DB.com. I'm your host, Peter O'Bea, and the Paranormal Pete Show. See you in a second.
If you're a fan of the paranormal world, then you'll love WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Talk shows bringing you the latest on everything paranormal, cryptozoological, metaphysical, true crime, psychic readings, and more. The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.
All right, back here on the Paranormal Pete Show. Quick break, and it reminded me that the station has an app now, so that you should go download the app wherever you get your apps from. Just look up WLTK-DB, and you can get live shows on there and replays, and you can do all kinds of things with the app. So I've actually used it to listen to shows, and so it works pretty easy. So be sure you go check that out. And before break, we were kind of getting to know Holly and Crystal here and kind of their story and how they've used tarot. But we're going to get into more of the nuts and bolts. But first, I want to bring up the event you're going to be doing this weekend, Holly, with Rocky Smith at Northwest Ghost Tours. It's the 15th and 16th. So you go to nwghosttours.com/nightmare. Sounds scary. Sounds scary. But what are you going to be doing there?
So I believe Rocky's storefront on Main Street, where he does his haunted history tours out of, they are going to have several book signings of paranormal authors. So that should be very interesting. And so lots of cool people are going to be there. I think William Becker, who's also a psychic medium, and one of Rocky's partners. Several people are doing that. And then I believe on Sunday there's a witch dance. There's a group of witches giving several dance performances and some face painting going on. There's also the Halloween store that I'm not sure what the technical name of it is, but it's just down the street from Rocky's, and it's super fun. They have some really cool stuff in there. And then Ursula, the hearse that was featured in Portlandia, is going to be there. And I'm going to be there doing readings. And then I think there's going to be a live radio broadcast that evening. Rocky's doing ghost tours all evening. And so you can get tickets, I think, on the website. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so if you're Oregon City area, and I'd say even in Portland, go out and check it out. It's nwghosttours.com/nightmare. Looks like a really fun event, and are you on the authors list yet?
No, I'm still writing my story.
Still being written. That's really cool. And so at the Port Gamble conference, you're going to be doing a class teaching how to read tarot, and you're going to be in the Walker Ames house for that class for 2 hours. So I'd be interested to hear what you think after being in there for a couple hours, and
can't wait.
and how many long-term residents of the house come into the readings.
Yeah, absolutely. That should be really fun.
Yeah, and you can get tickets for Holly's class. Go to portgamble.com, go to the events tab. and you can go to Eventbrite through there. There's QR codes. You go to the Facebook page /PG Ghost Conference on Facebook. And there's a QR code right on the graphic there. You can get tickets there. And Crystal, are you both going to be doing readings at the conference at your tables?
Yes.
Awesome. So you get a chance to get a reading from these guys here. And I'm looking forward to this one because we haven't done it in the theater since 2017, I think. Was the last time we did the conference in the theater, and the theater is pretty active. There's a lot of coming and going in that place, just as historically there was. So I'm excited to see if anybody shows themselves or says something, but it is a haunted location. So looking forward to having you guys there, and lucky number 13, I bet you'll have a fun experience in the Walker Ames house.
Absolutely. I figured, I hadn't done the Port Gamble conference ever before, so I'd bring not only myself, but an additional tarot reader. So
Right, exactly. Oh, we got somebody saying hello. Hey, Jackie, thanks for watching. I met Jackie at the OC Paracon. She was a vendor and doing readings there as well. And she was so kind to give my girls a little parting gift on the last day there. So thanks for watching, Jackie. Well, let's get into some of the nuts and bolts of tarot. And I wanted to first ask Crystal, what is the typical card spread that you do? Is there a standard one you do, or does it just kind of depend on the vibe at the start of the reading, depending on the person?
Depends on the person. I'm either gonna do a Celtic Cross or a 3-card, depending on where I'm at, who I'm with, how I feel about it. But I actually taught Holly a really cool relationship spread that I worked with this lady to develop how we were going to run it. And it's mind, body, spirit, but it's thinking, feeling, and acting.
Oh.
And it's her side, his side, and the issue at hand. So that's a really fun one that I've pulled out a couple of times. But I know you've done it quite a bit more.
Oh, yeah. No, it works really well. And it's really interesting, I think, to do tarot on couples anyways, because even if they're getting separate readings, you can see each other's energy in one another's readings. And sometimes I'll do a couples reading and it's like one person, all of their cards are completely reversed, and the other person, all of their cards are completely upright. And it's like, this person's going through a lot of stuff and you've got to carry them, but it's very symbiotic.
Oh, that's really cool. And also, I wanted to go back to your experiments that you've been doing with mediumship and tarot, Holly. And have you tried just not using the cards at first, writing down everything you feel that you're getting, and then use the cards? And have you tried that? And if so, have some of what you've picked up and written down showed up in the cards? You know what I mean? Like the cards validate what you think you were getting.
Yes. I think I had practiced with a friend of mine over Zoom, and her father had passed recently, and he had been a very religious man. And so she had kind of rejected the religious, aspect of things, and then had kind of a spiritual awakening when he died and got super into mediumship. All of a sudden was like, I never, got into this because I was just so anti-religion. And then I was like, oh, I didn't realize you could just do, be spiritual or, do this type of stuff. And so I knew a little bit about, the story with her dad. And so I was trying to connect with him and, kind of picked up on that kind of staunch, religious energy. But then, started doing cards, and I think the first card that came up was the Hierophant, and he's the religious leader in the tarot deck. So that was really interesting. And then I think, and then a bunch of swords. He was very straight and narrow, or
analytical. And, yeah.
Unbending.
Crazy. Yeah. I was thinking about that when you were talking about the experiments. Like, I was like, oh, I wonder if you could use the cards to really validate.
Yes.
It's almost a way to, it's like a training. It's like practice.
Yes.
for mediumship.
That's what I'm trying to do, is practice.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Well, for those who aren't familiar with tarot, Crystal, what do the cups and the wands typically mean? And then I'll ask Holly about the swords and the pentacles.
Cups are raw emotion, like romance, love.
And they're like the element of water. And so that.
The wands are fire. They are ambition, drive, like what puts the fire in your belly.
Passion, motivation.
And then what about the swords and then the pentacles, Holly?
I'll start with pentacles because that one's easier. Pentacles is the earth, so it's everything in physical life. So job, money, home, body, health, the people, places, things in your life, or the adulting parts of life, the physical manifestations of, your thoughts, feelings, actions, things like that. And then swords they represent air. And so I always say, so it represents everything up here in the air, which is mentality and communication. So with others, with yourself, are you understood by others? Are you respected by others? Do you talk mean to yourself in your head and, doomsday yourself, or do you have control of your thoughts? But swords are also a tool or a weapon. So they have to do with, decision making. So you could use that sword to be like, charge, I'm doing this with my energy. Or I'm going to draw a line in the sand and this is my boundary. Swords are a lot about boundary setting. Or, I'm going to cut this negative thing out of my life. So it has a lot to do with taking action on a decision or making a decision rather than, being wishy-washy.
I think it's impressive when you guys know the nuance. There's so much nuance, and being able to navigate that, like, that's something I'm really working on, but it's like you just got to kind of trust what you feel too. We got a couple people, we got someone checking in here. Jessica, thanks for watching the show. Appreciate it. And she did have a question. What does the Knight of Swords represent?
Well, what do you want to say?
So the Knight of Swords is fast moving. He's kind of like, say what you want, do what you say, don't care, doing it fast.
Well, I always say, so swords are going to have to do maybe with, thoughts, communication. So Knight of Swords, since you're on a mode of transportation, that means there's something fast. So this could be somebody who's very quick, very clever, or somebody who shoots his mouth off. Maybe if it's reversed, especially someone who shoots his mouth off and then like
insert
foot, really self-edit when they're speaking, no filter maybe. But the other thing about knights is, as you look at the court cards, page, knight, queen, king, page would be the child, knight would be the teenager, queen and kings are the adults. And so the reason that I joke is the reason that the knight is on horseback is so that he can be like, screw you, mom and dad, I'm out of here. And then he like rides away on his horse. So knights can also represent kind of like, I don't know, fearlessness or being headstrong in like a positive way. I often describe this as like that teenage energy where you're like, I'll never die. Look at this, like,
yeah,
just hardcore believe in yourself and just go for it. And like, we lose that as we get older. So sometimes when we see a knight pop up, it's like, yeah, I'm motivated and I'm going for it.
Great. That's awesome. We got another question here from Ellie. Thanks for watching. She says, hi, do either of you use a pendulum during a tarot reading?
I don't personally, because I feel like I've got already enough going on with cards. Yeah. I do like pendulums, but I haven't experimented with them a lot with tarot because the tarot is usually working so well that I don't really need to confirm, with a pendulum.
Okay.
I don't do it either. I have too much to focus on also. And I mean, the only time that I've even thought about it was if I had a card that I didn't know which way to go.
Yeah, or if you're trying to do a reading for somebody who's not there for some reason and you're like, is this what it means or is that what it means? Then maybe you could use a pendulum. But I feel like sometimes people use pendulums and it's a detriment. It's like they're second guessing themselves.
Yes.
When they do it with tarot, I mean.
Right, because then they're putting their focus on the pendulum instead of, you know, the energy that's between them and the person and the cards.
Right.
And, yeah, I could see that. That's great. And thanks for asking a question, guys. If you have more, jump on there. Wherever you're watching, jump on the chat there. Okay, so you guys have mentioned doing a quick reading. The time just flies by on the show, so we should probably start getting to that. Oh, and Jessica saying, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. So explain what you're doing here.
Okay.
I'm going to step out for this reading.
Okay.
She's gonna step out, and if we have time, you know, for her to give her impressions, then it's always kind of an interesting thing. But so I'm gonna lay out 10 cards. We are probably not gonna get to talk about all of them, but I just kind of want to be able to see the full picture. It's kind of actually easier, I think, to do tarot with more cards than less cards. Because
give you more information.
Yeah, and you can maybe see some weird patterns, you know, that you're going to miss if you're only doing 3 cards or something, for instance. So
right.
So Pete, can you just take a couple of deep breaths with me, and let's just kind of inhale that nice, still warm summer-like air, even though it's mid-October, and let's just take a moment to get nice and rooted to the earth. So let's just think about extending roots down and letting the earth kind of ground us and keep us supported while we do this reading. And I want us to just bring that nice grounding earth energy all the way up through our bodies and through our chakras. And I want us to send it out the top of our heads, out to the universe. And we're going to intend whatever's the best information for Pete to hear today. That's what we'd like to know. And I want you to just send your energy to the cards while I shuffle here and tell me when it feels good to you for us to stop shuffling.
Okay. That's good. Okay. That sounded like a good one.
Awesome.
And so do you just pull right off the top? You don't pull from different parts. You just go boom, boom, boom.
I do. When I'm doing mediumship, I do more spread them out and feel where my hand is pulled, feel where the energy catches.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got some cool cards.
Cool.
And I can send you a picture of this also. I will send you a picture of this. Okay. So you've got the first several cards that you have are reversed, and then like the whole last half of the reading are all upright. So it looks to me like whatever potentially stagnant energy you've been going through is about to leave the building.
Oh, thank God.
So you're starting with 3 of Swords reversed, and 3 is about creation. So when you have a reverse 3, sometimes it can be a blockage to something that you're trying to create. And crossing that, you have 7 of Wands. So 7s are kind of a problem number, but 7s can also be with great challenge comes great reward, you know. But it looks to me like you're trying to make something happen, but it's kind of you're battling a bunch of other things by yourself, and so therefore it's hard to create it.
Sure. That makes sense. Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So your next 3 cards, we're going on the bottom. This is your root cause, is you've got another reverse 3. And so this is 3 of
Wands.
Of Wands. You know, I forgot to say 3 of Swords is going to be a little bit more about like, we're not communicating well, so I can get this created, or we're not, you know, I'm not making the right connections like networking, or, you know, trying to get some kind of opportunity, or getting beat out, you know, like I had this opportunity, but this 3rd sword came along and snatched it, you know, out from under me type of thing.
Okay.
But underneath you, you've got the 3 of Wands, which is wands are fire. So it's like your energy, your motivation, your will to keep going. And this is like, I'm losing steam, man, you know, is
Yeah, it's kind of how I've been feeling.
which I think everyone is still feeling coming out of the COVID times. You know what
Sure.
I mean? Like we're all still kind of shaking
Right.
the dust off, or like, how did I used to do this before? type of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right.
So then quickly in the past, you've got 4 of Swords reversed, which I know this looks like he's dead, but he's really just resting when the card is upright. 4 is about foundation. So this is like, if it's upright, I've got a good foundation. I can take a rest, you know. Reversed, it's the image I always draw on kind of is this like falling on your own swords feeling. So kind of not resting, working yourself into a hole to try to get this thing created and off the ground, but then you're not actually getting it off the ground because you're not getting any rest. And so it's like, kind of pointless, wasted energy in a way. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep. You're right on.
It's really interesting because you have 3 of Swords reversed, 4 of Swords reversed, and now 5 of Swords reversed all in this one reading.
What's with all the swords? Good
And
night.
that's only in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. So, so 5 of Swords, 5 is a lot about change. If you think of 1 through 10 as a chapter of your life, 5 is kind of the midway or change point.
Okay.
And so I don't know, between these 2 cards, I'm feeling like you may have had to kind of sever ties with someone in order to get things going the way that you want. Or like I've had to kind of draw some better boundaries and have, I don't know, maybe higher standards of like who is reliable to help me with what I need to create. Does that make sense?
That part makes sense. Yeah.
So on to some upright cards finally.
Fine. About
Immediate
time.
future, Page of Cups upright, new message of love coming to you. So this can be like, I severed those ties and now I feel really good about this. I feel like I have a clearer vision of, you know, what I need to do that's going to make this go the way I want it to, or, you know, that I have better support, not having this, I don't know, like parasite energy or this, like the weighing me down energy in the mix is gone, you know?
Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff I'm dealing with, I think that you're hitting on is my job, is my day job, which has just been crazy this last couple of years. So
have you been able to set some boundaries, or are you having some kind of a new relationship with it going forward? Or is this maybe?
I think it's more like more boundaries will be established soon. Like I'm working towards that.
Good. This is a very good sign, especially with all of these swords. Like, can we get some nice, remember our feelings? Remember being able to care about our feelings?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
So this is the card that's kind of how you're feeling deep down underneath, or this is something that maybe is routinely kind of something that could be looked at that might be helpful if we could flip this around because it's reversed, but you got death reversed. And so when you have a horse reversed, it's not going anywhere. Horsey's kicking his little legs in the air, you know? And so this is saying that in the context of things, and especially if you're talking about work, like I understand that things have been crazy, but it's also that you may be too loyal. You may be having a hard time leaving a certain thing, or that, you know, it's something that you're very locked into and it's not easy just to right away. Like, you know, I've been doing this for 20 years and I can't just go, you know, start over.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so you have really awesome cards for the rest of the reading, I promise. And so, your hopes or fears. You got an upright card, so it's a hope. And the card you got is the hope card because it's the star.
All right.
So this is, you know, she's pouring the water into the grass and into the pool. And it's basically, I'm going to keep watering this grass so hopefully it grows tall and provides for everyone that needs this grass and all the little forest creatures. And then I'm going to water this pool, and it's going to also provide, for whoever needs nourishment. Maybe I don't have all of this today, but if I keep doing it, I'm going to have it tomorrow. So still planting those seeds. You may be running out of steam and need some better boundaries and being able to like take care of yourself better. But you are still planting seeds for the future, and it is still good to plant those seeds and still helpful. So you haven't given up hope. That's awesome.
That's all I can have is hope, right?
Yes. And so the energy coming into the farther future, you got 6 of Swords upright. So you got 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Swords in one reading. But this card, 6 is about kind of returning to balance. If 5 is kind of the change point, or 5 is like the storm, then 6 is the calm after the storm. And this is literally the calm after the storm, because you're going from rocky waters to smooth waters.
Okay.
And so this is saying, I'm having better boundaries now. I'm being more supported. And since I'm on water, yes, we're swords, we're air, we're mentality, communication, decisions, boundaries, but water is emotion. So I'm now getting to have those boundaries and securely, take care of my emotions and have smooth sailing instead of like draining myself, things like that. Yeah. And then your last card is the psychic card.
Oh.
So this is awesome. It's a 2, which can also be symbolic of 11, especially because it's Roman numerals. And 11 is basically your next chapter. So this is saying, I think the chapter where you're drained and not having enough boundaries and work isn't maybe treating you as well as they should or appreciating you as much as they should is hopefully over. Anytime you have 2 pillars like this, it kind of signifies I'm going from one area of my life to a new area of my life. And when I cross that threshold, I'm going to be a new version of myself.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really cool.
I could hear you out.
Oh, I bet. It's never quiet tarot with me. Do you have anything to add quickly?
Because I always
a lot of swords.
You do have a lot of swords. So I think of like the three of swords upright as like I've been stabbed in the heart and I can deal with it, and the 3 of swords reversed as I'm not dealing with it as well as I should. So you've had some sort of disappointment there, and battling with that disappointment with this tangible fight to get through the pain and go ahead and win it, because you are winning.
This is what I call the whack-a-mole card.
The whack-a-mole card.
Yeah. I'm in it to win it, guys. I'm in it to win it.
You're in it to win it.
When you got some psychic development up in the future. So that's really like the coolest thing is once you have better boundaries and you aren't being drained.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel like, it works for me great, and readings are always fun, but I feel like I just can't take that next progression yet. Like, I feel you. Where I think things, I think things are going to change, how I get information might change. I think it's coming, but I'm just not ready for it yet. And I think my guides have done things at certain times because it's right for me, and I just don't realize it, or understand that. But wow,
everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. And the kind of the start of my journey was the universal 2x4 upside the head. That's kind of how, Karen Fraser, I think, coined that phrase. And I use it all the time. It's great, but it was just like, nope, hey dummy, here we go. You need to pay attention now. So really appreciate the reading and great job. That was great. So cool. Well, you guys, you're going to see Holly and you're going to see Crystal at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference this year. You're going to see Holly down at, unless Crystal, you're going to be there too, at
go.
Yeah, go to the Nightmare on Main Street, Oregon City this weekend, you guys.
I'm not gonna be vending, but I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go heckle. Nice. And so we'll see you at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference, and we'll have to have you on again because we didn't really even get to your music, your guys' music. But I wanted to give just a quick thanks to the OC Paracon, Henry San Miguel of Paranormal Perception, Unearthing the Supernatural, the boys from there for putting on such a fun conference. I met a lot of great people, met some really cool other vendors and speakers some of them will be coming up on the show here. So big shout out to Paranormal Perception and Unearthing the Supernatural for putting on that conference. It was so much fun. My family had even more fun at Disneyland because it's the happiest place on earth for the kids. Not so much the adults, but but I just want to say thank you, and it was I'll be posting some pictures. I've been lagging behind, but I met some really great people, got some new books. But next week we'll be on with best-selling author Leslie Rule, and I want to give very special thanks to Holly Cole and Crystal Valley tonight for coming on the show. It was a blast. The reading was great. Thanks for sharing everything you guys did.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we'll have to do this again. The hour just flies right by.
Yeah.
But
and please, anyone who wants a reading with either of us, Crystal Seed Tarot is mine, and Lil Wolf Tarot is Crystal's.
My grandfather used to call me.
Oh, that's great. Go check it.
Wolf.
Go check them out, you guys. Go check them out. Crystal Seed Tarot and Lil Wolf Tarot as well, if you want to get a reading. And thanks everybody for watching. I leave every show with a toast that the past is history, the future is a mystery, but today's a gift because it's the present. Don't forget to take time each day if you can, or maybe once a week, or whatever your adult life can handle, to be present, be there in the moment. If you're hanging out with friends, quit thinking about yesterday, quit worrying about tomorrow, and be there in the moment, and you'll see some things get better in your life. And that's something that I got to practice what I preach too, because, it's hard to do that sometimes. So everybody remember to be present. We got a couple people saying, thanks, Katie. So fun and interesting. Jackie Campbell, thank you. So interesting. Appreciate it. Jessica said to you guys that you should do a YouTube channel explaining each card.
Working on it.
Okay, great. Well, look for that out there, folks. We're on WLTK-DB.com. I look forward to coming back next week, and hope everyone has a really good rest of the week. And like I said, be present when you can, and let's all you could hug the ones you're with. Hug everyone else virtually, maybe a little longer. We're in that world now. But take care, everybody. It's the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Peter Orbea. Take care, Holly and Crystal.
Bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.